Damian Thorman is here from the Knight Foundation. I want to thank the Knight Foundation, which is doing so much in the area of promoting access to communications technologies by communities who are at the risk of being left behind by all the exciting innovation, economic activity, educational benefits, etc. So thank you to the Knight Foundation. Thank you to Damian. Mike Montgomery of Cal Innovates has also been a big part of making this happen. I think Mike is not here, but I did want to make sure that I had a chance to thank him. So this competition was for, I could say was because we now have the winners, developers of apps who used government data to provide positive, useful experiences for people using wired and wireless broadband apps, particularly people from communities who have been low adopters of broadband. So we really combined two goals that we have in one competition. One is increasing adoption of broadband. The rate of broadband adoption in the US is about 68%. 68% of Americans have broadband at home. Well, that's too low. About 100 million Americans, that means, don't have broadband at home. 67% in the US compares to 90% in South Korea and Singapore. We have to bring that number up. So one of the reasons we announced this competition is to help address that by tackling one of the issues around the broadband adoption gap, which is relevance. A number of people who don't adopt broadband because they don't appreciate the value that's there. There are other reasons too. Cost is a big factor. Recently we announced a major initiative called Connect to Compete, where all of the broadband cable broadband providers in the US have agreed to provide low-cost, $9.95 a month broadband connection to families with children on school lunch programs. We're working on modernizing some of our universal service programs at the FCC to tackle this. We've already done a major modernization of our program that's focused on rural America. We continue to work on this. The second was to encourage more and more local governments, state governments, as well as the federal government, to put more public data online in searchable, machine-readable formats. And you'll see some examples today of why that's so cool. There's no reason at all that any data the government has that's public data shouldn't be available to third-party developers who want to use it to turn that data into something of value to people. And finally, the third reason that we did this, or the third initiative that this relates to, is our mobile initiative. Mobile broadband, mobile internet is an incredible opportunity for this country, all of our people. We're seeing a tremendous amount of innovation around mobile. I'm holding this mobile device. What's happening in smartphones is just incredible. The US has regained the lead in the world when it comes to mobile innovation, thanks to many people right here in this part of the country. We have some real gaps and challenges to tackle around mobile. For example, all the smartphones that you're holding, these tablets, place a much greater demand on spectrum than the old feature phones we used to use. But we now have to adjust our spectrum policies to make sure that the spectrum that these devices use, that there's enough there. So we proposed some time ago a major initiative to free up a large amount of beachfront property spectrum through something called incentive auctions. It would allow for an efficient reallocation of spectrum from older, less efficient uses to mobile broadband. The good news is that this is now moving in Congress. The House of Representatives included incentive auction authority in the major legislation they passed earlier this week. In general, spectrum policy has worked very well in the country by ensuring that the FCC has the flexibility it needs to adopt spectrum policies that really work for innovators and entrepreneurs thinking about the next generation of how to harness spectrum to drive innovation, our economy, and job creation. And that's what we're fighting for in the context of this legislation.